All right, friends. Hello and welcome to day 77 of Wait in the Word. So today is a very big day. Right now it is quite late in the evening. Actually, I'm going to push it past the evening and say it's really late at night right now. It was a wonderful day. So many amazing things happened today, and connections with people and testimonies. It was brilliant. And my husband, who's the basketball coach, we had the end of the year boys versus boys basketball banquet tonight, and it was beautiful. Anyway, because of that, I got a late start on preparing for tonight, and oh man, I just have so much I want to share with you. I've got things I want to share with you about Psalm 77 that we're going to read tonight. I have things I want to share with you about the book of Ruth, which we're going to read the whole thing today. I have things that I want to share with you about Jesus's lineage, and it's so much. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to get some of it, and I am just going to hope that I don't fall asleep reading tonight. I know that's bad of me to say that, but and I want to remind you about the timestamp thing. So if you noticed from the video of yesterday, day 76, I was able to successfully put in some timestamps down at the bottom where the little red line goes across. There are little tiny marks, little marks where there's a gap. But here's the deal. If you go to the description where I put the timestamps in, there's like, I think it shows like a picture of me and the video of where that next timestamp is. And I learned that all you have to do is just tap on the video. So one of the videos will probably say welcome, and then one will say teaching about the book of Ruth. One I'll probably make it say the reading of the book of Ruth, and then one that'll probably say teaching about Psalm 77, and then reading of Psalm 77. So all of that to say that if you just want to skip over the teaching spots and just go straight to where I read the text, you can hit on the picture that's connected to that timestamp, and I think it fast forwards you straight there. Brilliant, huh? I never knew that. So yeah, so please use that. For those of you who just are limited to 30 minutes or whatnot, please go ahead and do that, and it'll just automatically jump you over the teaching parts. But anyway, okay, so I'm going to try to be as succinct as possible. Let's just open in prayer, and we'll move into this today. God, I just thank you so much for just the amazing way that you work in lives. I thank you so much for the example of that you are going to show us today in the book of Ruth, of how you move and you work and nothing is lost with you. You can restore and redeem so much, and you're working in ways that we don't even see. I just from my testimonies that I ran into today and experienced today, Lord, I'm just blown away, God, by how you are so involved. It's just amazing, it's brilliant, and it's beautiful. So I thank you for each of my friends who are joining us today to dig into this incredible book of Ruth, to read Psalm 77, which has so much amazing, incredible stuff in it that even has pertained to what we've already been reading. God, it amazes me at how you put things together to nourish us, how you put things together to provide us fresh bread for today. We love you. We are in awe of you, and we want more. We are hungry. We are hungry for your word, and we just desire more. So Jesus, thank you for the more that you're going to bless us with today. Thank you that you delight in giving us this, your word. And just thank you for all the things that you're revealing to us and opening up our eyes to, and the pieces that you're putting together for us. Oh man, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Jesus. So bless the reading of your word today. Bless everyone who's listening. May this be good, good, good for their soul. We love you, Jesus, and we pray all of this in your name. Amen. All right. Woo! So we're reading the whole book of Ruth today, and the book of Ruth in and of itself is just an incredible story, and there's so many different layers. One of the main themes throughout this book is the concept of a kinsman redeemer, and you can do some extra deep dives and wading deeper into that. That's one thing I'm not going to touch on today in our learning. But what I want to talk about a little bit is backstory, and I want to share with you about some of the players in this story. We're going to be reading about a man. His name is Elimelech. Okay, Elimelech is from Bethlehem. Bethlehem is in the tribe of Judah. Say it with me. Bethlehem is in the tribe of Judah. Okay, this is important. So he and his family, he's married to a woman named Naomi. They have 2 sons. There's a famine that's going on, and the family is going to move to the country of Moab. So here we've got our little map. We've got Judah is here, okay? And here we have Bethlehem. Remember, we looked at this map yesterday when we were talking about the story about the Levite and his concubine. So what's going to happen? There's famine going on. They are going to move down to the country of Moab. And it doesn't say what town they live in, but chances are this area right here to the east of the Dead Sea was quite fertile. Chances are they probably went there. That's kind of what my research showed, because that probably would have had the ability to grow the food. I think this is also mountainous. But here's what we need to know. This is located, Moab is located in modern day west central Jordan. All right, so we've got the country of Jordan in modern day today, right over here. Now the exact town, like I said, is not mentioned, but they probably settled in the fertile lands east of the Dead Sea. Moab, okay, Moab is located about 50 to 60 miles east of Bethlehem. So if you think of a place like from where I live, if you drive 50 or 60 miles, you're going to end up in Seattle, Washington. All right, so that's kind of how close it was to go from here at Bethlehem up and over and down and around. So you got the Dead Sea here, but boom, there you go. 50 to 60 miles, and they end up living there for 10 years. Now, approximately 10 years. Then we're going to read that Ruth, Naomi is the mother. She's the one who's married to Elimelech. Elimelech and Naomi are married together. They have 2 sons. Their sons end up marrying Moabite women. Ruth is one and Orpah is the other one. The tragedy strikes, the husband and the sons die, and Naomi says, I want to release you girls. You stay here in Moab. I'm going to go back to my homeland. One of the girls says, okay, I love you, and she stays. That's Orpah. The other one, Ruth, ends up saying to Naomi, no, where you go, I'm going to go. Your people will be my people. And she goes back to Bethlehem to Judah, to Bethlehem with Naomi. And that's where Boaz comes on the scene. Now, here's the amazing thing. Boaz, let me talk a little bit about Boaz. Boaz is a key biblical figure in the book of Ruth and an ancestor of Jesus. And he was from Bethlehem in Judah. He was a wealthy landowner and a prominent member of his community, described as a man of standing, or a quote, mighty man of valor, who marries Ruth after she moves to Bethlehem from Moab. So Ruth is a Moabite woman. She's not even an Israelite, but she ends up marrying Boaz, who is an Israelite. Boaz, get a load of this, everyone. Boaz was the son of Salmon and Rahab, as in Rahab from Jericho, the one who sheltered the spies. So Boaz is their son. Now, do you remember, if we go back to Joshua 6:25, it says, so Joshua spared Rahab the prostitute and her relatives who were with her in the house, because she had hidden the spies Joshua sent to Jericho, and she lives among the Israelites to this day. So this woman, Rahab, She marries a guy who is an Israelite. His name is, it's spelled salmon, like the fish that swims in the sea, but I'm quite positive I'm not pronouncing it right. It was probably more like salmon, okay? But the two of them end up having Boaz. Boaz ends up having a child, Obed. Obed has a child named Jesse. Jesse ends up being the father of King David. Okay, now here's the thing. David comes from Bethlehem. King David comes from Bethlehem. Where is Jesus eventually born? Bethlehem. Bethlehem means the house of bread. Beth means house, and lechem means bread in Hebrew. Jesus is the bread of life. The Bible talks about him being the bread of life. So all this amazing, and then the Bible also says that Jesus will come back. He will come back. There will be the big battle of Armageddon, and then Jesus will bring down the New Jerusalem, and he will have a millennial reign here on the planet. So for 1,000 years, it's biblical. It's in the book of Revelation. He comes down. There's 1,000 years where he rules and reigns on the throne of David in Jerusalem. And we will be here. This will be us coming back, and that's our future. We will be here ruling and reigning with Jesus to some degree, whatever his assignment for us is, each of us individually during that 1,000 years. Okay, getting a little bit ahead of the game here, but Rahab, she's part of Jesus's lineage. So his lineage can go all the way back to Perez, who was a son of Judah. So I'm not going to do it right now, although I'm so tempted. I want to spend time with you on genealogy and looking at this genealogy, but I'm 12 minutes in already. So I'm not going to do it, but let me read this one last thing about Naomi, okay? Having the grandson Obed from Boaz and Ruth, who bore a son named Obed. Having a grandson guarantees Naomi's security in her old age. Her husband dies, and then her 2 sons die. Massively tragic for a woman back then, not to have the security of a husband or sons in her old age. But having a grandson guarantees her security in her own age and brought back what she thought she had lost forever. So God has a way of redeeming things and bringing things back into our lives, which we have thought maybe we've lost forever. And then it just talks about the genealogy in the book. So that's where we are going. Are we ready for this? Okay, I'm going to write down what time it is. It is going to be 13. Okay, so let's start reading at 13:30. Here we go. I'm doing this right? We prayed. Wanted to read this to you. Oh, okay, boom. The book of Ruth. Elimelech moves his family to Moab, chapter 1. In the days when the judges ruled in Israel, a severe famine came upon the land. So a man from Bethlehem in Judah left his home and went to live in the country of Moab, taking his wife and 2 sons with him. The man's name was Elimelech, and his wife was Naomi. Their 2 sons were Mahlon and Chilion. They were They were Ephrathites from Bethlehem in the land of Judah. And when they reached Moab, they settled there. Then Elimelech died, and Naomi was left with her 2 sons. The 2 sons married Moabite women. One married a woman named Orpah, and the other a woman named Ruth. But about 10 years later, both sons, Mahlon and Chilion, died. This left Naomi alone without her 2 sons or her husband. Then Naomi heard in Moab that the Lord had blessed his people in Judah by giving them good crops again. So Naomi and her daughter-in-laws got ready to leave Moab to return to her homeland. With her 2 daughters-in-law, she set out from the place where she had been living, and they took the road that would lead them back to Judah. But on the way, Naomi said to her 2 daughters-in-law, Go back to your mother's house, and may the Lord reward you for your kindness to your husband and to me. May the Lord bless you with the security of another marriage. Then she kissed them goodbye, and they all broke down and wept. No, they said, we want to go with you to your people. But Naomi replied, Why should you go with me? Can I still give birth to other sons who could grow up to be your husbands? No, my daughters, return to your parents' homes, for I am too old to marry again. And even if it were possible and I were to get married tonight and bear sons, then what? Would you wait for them to grow up and refuse to marry someone else? No, of course not, my daughters. Things are far more bitter for me than for you, because the Lord himself has raised his fist against me. And again they wept together, and Orpah kissed her mother-in-law goodbye. But Ruth clung tightly to Naomi. Look, Naomi said to her, your sister-in-law has gone back to her people and to her gods. You should do the same. But Ruth replied, Don't ask me to leave you and turn back. Wherever you go, I will go. Wherever you live, I will live. Your people will be my people, and your God will be my God. Wherever you die, I will die, and there I will be buried. May the Lord punish me severely if I allow anything but death to separate us. That's just beautiful. When Naomi saw that Ruth was determined to go with her, she said nothing more. So the 2 of them continued on their journey. When they came to Bethlehem, the entire town was excited by their arrival. Is it really Naomi? The women asked. Don't call me Naomi, she responded. Instead, call me Mara, for the Almighty has made life very bitter for me. I went away full, but the Lord has brought me home empty. Why call me Naomi when the Lord has caused me to suffer and the Almighty has sent such tragedy upon me? So Naomi returned from Moab, accompanied by her daughter-in-law Ruth, the young Moabite woman. They arrived in Bethlehem in late spring at the beginning of the barley harvest. Chapter 2. Now there was a wealthy and influential man in Bethlehem named Boaz, who was a relative of Naomi's husband, Elimelech. One day, Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, Let me go out into the harvest fields to pick up the stalks of grain left behind by anyone who is kind enough to let me do it. Now, let's think back to where we were reading all of the requirements that God told the Israelites. Do you remember when God said to the Israelites, and when you're harvesting your fields, leave some behind so that those who have less can come behind and glean your field and have food to eat? Do you remember that provision that God put in his requirements and his laws? It is that very provision that is going to end up feeding Naomi and Ruth and allowing Ruth to have the opportunity to meet Boaz. Wow, God is so good. He did not need to put that in, but he did. One day, Ruth the Moabite said to Naomi, Let me go out into the harvest fields to pick up the stalks of grain left behind by anyone who is kind enough to let me do it. Naomi replied, All right, my daughter, go ahead. So Ruth went out to gather grain behind the harvesters, and as it happened, she found herself working in a field that belonged to Boaz, the relative of her father-in-law, Elimelech. While she was there, Boaz arrived from Bethlehem and greeted the harvesters. The Lord be with you, he said. "The Lord bless you," the harvesters replied. Then Boaz asked his foreman, "Who is that young woman over there? Who does she belong to?" The foreman replied, "She is the young woman from Moab who came back with Naomi. She asked me this morning if she could gather grain behind the harvesters. She's been hard at work ever since, except for a few minutes' rest in the shelter." Boaz went over and said to Ruth, "Listen, my daughter, stay right here with us when you gather grain. Don't go to any other fields. Stay right behind the young woman working in my field. See which part of the field they are harvesting and then follow them. I have warned the young men not to treat you roughly, and when you are thirsty, help yourself to the water they have drawn from the well." Such favor. It's beautiful. What a kind man. Ruth fell at his feet and thanked him warmly. "What have I done to deserve such kindness?" she asked. "I'm only a foreigner." "Yes, I know," Boaz replied, "but I also know about everything you have done for your mother-in-law since the death of your husband. I have heard how you left your father and mother and your own land to live here among complete strangers. May the Lord, the God of Israel, under whose wings you have come to take refuge, reward you fully for what you have done." What a beautiful statement. "I hope I continue to please you, sir," she replied. "You have comforted me by speaking so kindly to me, even though I am not one of your workers." At mealtime, Boaz called to her, "Come over here and help yourself to some food. You can dip your bread in the sour wine." So she sat with the harvesters, and Boaz gave her some roasted grain to eat. She ate all she wanted and still had some left over. When Ruth went back to work again, Boaz ordered his young men, let her gather grain right among the sheaves without stopping her, and pull out some heads of barley from the bundles and drop them on purpose for her. Let her pick them up and don't give her a hard time." So Ruth gathered barley there all day, and when she beat out the grain that evening, it filled an entire basket. She carried it back into town and showed it to her mother-in-law. Ruth also gave her mother-in-law the roasted grain that was left over from her meal. "Where did you gather all this grain today?" Naomi asked. "Where did you work? May the Lord bless the one who helped you." So Ruth told her mother-in-law about the man in whose field she had worked. She said, "The man I worked with today is named Boaz." "May the Lord bless him," Naomi told her daughter-in-law. "He is showing his kindness to us as well as to your dead husband. That man is one of our closest relatives, one of our family redeemers." Then Ruth said, "What's more, Boaz even told me to come back and stay with his harvesters until the entire harvest is completed." "Good," said Naomi. "Do as he said, my daughter. Stay with the young women right through the whole harvest. You might be harassed in other fields, but you'll be safe with him." So Ruth worked alongside the women in Boaz's fields and gathered grain with them until the end of the barley harvest. Then she continued working with them through the wheat harvest in early summer, and all the while she lived with her mother-in-law. Chapter 3. One day, Naomi said to Ruth, "My daughter, it's time that I found a permanent home for you so that you will be provided for. Boaz is a close relative of ours, and he's been very kind by letting you gather grain with his young women. Tonight, he will be winnowing barley at the threshing floor. Now do as I tell you. Take a bath and put on perfume and dress in your nicest clothes. Then go to the threshing floor, but don't let Boaz see you until he has finished eating and drinking. Be sure to notice where he lies down. Then go and uncover his feet and lie down there. He will tell you what to do." "I will do everything you say," Ruth replied. So she went down to the threshing floor that night and followed the instructions of her mother-in-law. After Boaz had finished eating and drinking and was in good spirits, he lay down at the far end of the pile of grain and went to sleep. Then Ruth came quietly, uncovered his feet, and lay down. Around midnight, Boaz suddenly woke up and turned over. He was surprised to find a woman lying at his feet. "Who are you?" he asked. "I am your servant Ruth," she replied. "Spread the corner of your covering over me, for you are my family redeemer." "The Lord bless you, my daughter," Boaz exclaimed. "You are showing even more family loyalty now than you did before, for you have not gone after a younger man, whether rich or poor. Now don't worry about a thing, my daughter. I will do what is necessary, for everyone in town knows you are a virtuous woman. But while it's true that I am one of your family redeemers, there is another man who is more closely related to you than I am. Stay here tonight, and in the morning I will talk to him. If he is willing to redeem you, very well, let him marry you. But if he's not willing, then as surely as the Lord lives, I will redeem you myself. Now lie down here until morning." So Ruth lay at Boaz's feet until the morning, but she got up before it was light enough for people to recognize each other. For Boaz has said, "No one must know that a woman was here at the threshing floor." Then Boaz said to her, "Bring your cloak and spread it out." He measured 6 scoops of barley into the cloak and placed it on her back. Then he returned to the town. When Ruth went back to her mother-in-law, Naomi asked, "What happened, my daughter?" Ruth told Naomi everything Boaz had done for her, and she added, "He gave me these 6 scoops of barley and said, 'Don't go back to your mother-in-law empty-handed.'" Then Naomi said to Ruth, "Just be patient, my daughter, until we hear what happens. The man won't rest until he has settled things today." Chapter 4. Boaz went to the town gate and took a seat there. Just then the family redeemer he had mentioned came by, so Boaz called out to him, "Come over here and sit down, friend. I want to talk to you." So they sat down together. Then Boaz called 10 leaders from the town and asked them to sit as witnesses. And Boaz said to the family redeemer, "You know Naomi, who came back from Moab? She is selling the land that belonged to our relative Elimelech. I thought I should speak to you about it so that you can redeem it if you wish. If you want the land, then buy it here in the presence of these witnesses. But if you don't want it, let me know right away, because I am next in line to redeem it after you." The man replied, "All right, I'll redeem it." Then Boaz told him, "Of course, your purchase of the land from Naomi also requires that you marry Ruth, the Moabite widow. That way she can have children who will carry on her husband's name and keep the land in the family." Then I can't redeem it," the family redeemer replied, "because this might endanger my own estate. You redeem the land. I cannot do it." Now, in those days, it was the custom in Israel for anyone transferring a right of purchase to remove his sandal and hand it to the other party. This publicly validated the transaction. So the other family redeemer drew off his sandal as he said to Boaz, "You buy the land." Then Boaz said to the elders and to the crowd standing around, "You are witnesses that today I have bought from Naomi all the property of Elimelech, Chilion, and Mahlon. And with the land I have acquired Ruth, the Moabite widow of Mahlon, to be my wife. This way she can have a son to carry on the family name of her dead husband and to inherit the family property here in his hometown. You are all my witnesses today." Then the elders and all the people standing in the gate replied, "We are witnesses. May the Lord make this woman who is coming into your home like Rachel and Leah, from whom all the nation of Israel descended. May you prosper in Ephrathah and be famous in Bethlehem. And may the Lord give you descendants by this young woman who will be like those of our ancestor Perez, the son of Tamar and Judah. So Boaz took Ruth into his home, and she became his wife. When he slept with her, the Lord enabled her to become pregnant, and she gave birth to a son. Then the women in the town said to Naomi, "Praise the Lord, who has now provided a redeemer for your family. May this child be famous in Israel. May he restore your youth and care for you in your old age. For he is the son of your daughter-in-law who loves you and has been better to you than 7 sons." Naomi took the baby and cuddled him to her breast, and she cared for him as if he were her own. The neighbor women said, "Now at last Naomi has a son again," and they named him Obed. He became the father of Jesse and the grandfather of David. This is the genealogical record of their ancestor Perez. Judah had a son, Perez. Perez was the father of Hezron. Hezron was the father of Ram. Ram was the father of Amminadab. Amminadab was the father of Nahshon. Nahshon was the father of Salmon. Salmon was the father of Boaz. Boaz was the father of Obed. Obed was the father of Jesse, and Jesse was the father of David. Thus ends the reading of Ruth. Was that not amazing or what? Thank you, Jesus. So much to say. Let's go over to Psalm 77. Now, when I was looking at Psalm 77, I noticed the name of a person by the name of JEDUTHUN. Oh, I wrote this down. JEDUTHUN. Oh, whoops. I'm so sorry, you guys. Okay, I tried to Google how to pronounce his name. So anyway, if you look there, it says, "For JEDUTHUN, the choir director, a psalm of Asaph." So we are, I think, in day... Oh, I just turned the page. Anyway, we're still in Asaph, and we are reading the fifth of Asaph's 11 psalms that come consecutively. He also wrote Psalm 50. But let's look at this gentleman because I did some research on him. So, in my English pronunciation, I would say JEDUTHUN, but you do not pronounce the J, so it's JEDUTHUN, and the emphasis is on the thun. So my question was, who was he as a choir director? And this is what I discovered. And this is interesting because I know some of you, I know at least one of you is another music teacher. So let me read this to you. JEDUTHUN was a Levite. He was a chief musician and one of the 3 principal choir directors appointed by King David to lead musical worship. As a king's seer, S-E-E-R, and master of music, his name on Psalm 77 indicates that Psalm 77, was entrusted to his choir for performance, possibly using a specific musical style or instrument that he introduced. Now, here are 4 fun facts about this man. Fact 1. His role in serving God's kingdom on earth was as a master musician, and he did this alongside 2 other men, Heman and Asaph. So there were a total of 3 of them who were in charge of leading worship as Levites. They led worship with instruments such as harps and cymbals and songs. Fun fact number 2. He has an alternative name. He is often identified as Ethan, And he is listed within the genealogies of the Levites, specifically in 1 Chronicles 15:17, which we have not read yet. We're coming up to those two books, okay? So he's sometimes identified as Ethan. We'll have to remember that. Fun fact number 3. His ministry consisted of being in ministry with his sons, leading the temple music, which is described as prophesying with instruments to give thanks and praise to God. I thought that was so cool that he could be in ministry with his sons. I myself am a music educator, if you don't know that. So that's why all of this music stuff is so fascinating to me. And finally, fun fact number 4. His legacy includes having his name recorded in the Holy Bible as being associated with the musical direction of Psalms 39, Psalm 62, and Psalm 77. In conclusion, in the context of Psalm 77, JEDUTHUN is the recipient of the composition and was responsible for leading its musical performance in the tabernacle. So now that we know that, let us read Psalm 77. I cry out to God, yes, I shout. Oh, that God would listen to me. When I was in deep trouble, I searched for the Lord. All night long I prayed, with hands lifted toward heaven, but my soul was not comforted. I think of God and I moan, overwhelmed with longing for his help. You don't let me sleep. I'm too distressed even to pray. I think of the good old days long since ended, when my nights were filled with joyful songs. I search my soul and ponder the difference now. Has the Lord rejected me forever? Will he never again be kind to me? Is his unfailing love gone forever? Have his promises permanently failed? Has God forgotten to be gracious? Has he slammed the door on his compassion? And I said, this is my fate. The Most High has turned his hand against me. But then I recall all you have done, O Lord. I remember your wonderful deeds of long ago. They are constantly in my thoughts. I cannot stop thinking about your mighty works. O God, your ways are holy. Is there any God as mighty as you? You are the God of great wonders. You demonstrate your awesome power among the nations. By your strong arm, you redeemed your people, the descendants of Jacob and Joseph. When the Red Sea saw you, O God, its waters looked and trembled. The sea quaked to its very depths. The clouds poured down rain. The thunder rumbled in the sky. Your arrows of lightning flashed. Your thunder roared from the whirlwind. The lightning lit up the world. The earth trembled and shook. Your road led through the sea, your pathway through the mighty waters, a pathway no one knew was there. You led your people along that road like a flock of sheep, with Moses and Aaron as their shepherds. There's just so much that I can relate to about this psalm. Just moments in my life where I felt like the Lord has rejected me, like he doesn't hear me. And I question and I wonder and I call out. But the sermon this past Sunday that one of our pastors at church talked all about the importance of testifying and testimony. So when we got to verse 11, But then I recall all that you have done, O Lord. I remember your wonderful deeds of long ago. They are constantly in my thoughts. I cannot stop thinking about your mighty works. I wrote down in my Bible right next to that, this is testimony. This is testifying. And when we take our memory and we go back and we think back and we testify to what God has done, it just changes everything. It changes the perspective. It takes my focus off of me, and it puts it back onto Jesus. It turns my eyes back to Jesus and off of my self-centered issues, right? It turns my eyes back to God. And then we get into, it just changes the perspective and the mindset. And then just like the Psalm, oh God, your ways are holy. Is there any God as mighty as you are? You are the God of great wonders. Your strong arm, you redeemed your people. It takes us back. It puts our eyes back on God and sets us upright again. Puts us on our feet, and away we go again. So I just encourage you, if you are having those sleepless nights where you're waking up and your mind is whirring around and it keeps on going and it keeps on going, I guess the old adage, count your blessings one by one, would be my offer to you, to remember what the Lord has done. And in remembering, I'm confident that he will take you to the place where your soul wants to praise and worship him again and finds hope. So I leave you with that today, my friend. God bless you. I just pray that the Lord is with you and me while we're absent one from another, and that you have a fantastic 24 hours until we see each other again. All right, I love you. God bless you. And we'll see you here or there or in the air, right? Keep your eyes on Jesus, my friend. I love you.